colleagues that nothing that Russia has done so far in terms of this invasion has gone unanswered when you were being asked about bio and chemical weapons. Obviously, none of what we have done to answer Russia has steered them from continuing this invasion. So why not consider some alternate strategy to communicate to Russia the consequence if they are to do a bio or chemical weapon strike inside Ukraine?
Like what?
I'm asking you, in other words, why not communicate? You won't say if it's a red line, right? Because you won't say that it's not our intention right now. So let me start there. Is there any red line for Russia that the U.S. would have some involvement where the military entered in Ukraine?
I'm not going to get into red lines from here, Peter. What I would tell you is that when I said we have not let anything go unanswered, what I mean is that we have amped up a range of military and security assistance, a historic amount to Ukraine, including a range of defensive weapons, which we've expedited the delivery. Even in the last 10 days, we've delivered about $240 million of that. And also we've provided a range of humanitarian assistance, and we have basically crushed the Russian economy, where the stock market is not even open. So it's inaccurate to suggest it's gone unanswered. We have taken all of those steps and rallied the world.
And I'm not saying it's gone unanswered. You say it's gone unanswered. We've witnessed the answer in the form of sanctions. I'm saying, given the potential that you've indicated that Russia could use a bio or chemical weapons strike there, why wouldn't the U.S. communicate to them something that is not an answer, but instead preemptive to communicate the consequence if they are to take what would be a horrific this were to a horrific new level?
The president's first and most important objective is the national security and interests of the United States, and being clear and direct with the American people. He has been clear and direct with the American people. He is not intending to send US troops to fight in Ukraine against Russia, to start another war. That would be an escalatory step that would not be in our national security interests and not in the interests of NATO. What we have conveyed is Russia's capabilities, their capacities, and their pattern of using chemical and biological weapons.
And so what does he say then? That's the message to the American people. His responsibility then, of course, is before any other. What does he say to Vladimir Putin if those at the head of the Russian government are considering that? What do you say to them watching right now?
We have been very clear, and our actions have been the evidence of this, that there will be significant consequences for every escalatory step that is taken by President Putin and the Russian government.
Let me follow on this then very quickly as it relates to the MiGs. You guys have said you closed the door on supplying combat aircraft to Ukraine right now, the transfer of MiGs. We heard from the Pentagon, your colleague there, John Kirby, said it was high risk. Mitt Romney today said there was a sentiment that we're fearful about what Putin might do and what he might consider an escalation. It's time for him to be fearful of what we might do. Why is it not a risk, a higher risk, to wait?
To wait to what?
We're not supplying, to not act in providing MiGs to the Ukrainian country. We said that's a high risk. Why is that a higher risk than not providing them? We're already witnessing civilians die as we speak.
Well, I would say what our assessment is based on is how to prevent a world war here, Peter, which is a significant weight that the intelligence community, the Defense Department, and the President of the United States weighs at every moment in time. And they weigh, and I would note that that there was also, I thought, a very interesting comment that was made that is important, I think, for people to understand how we look at this, which is that there's an escalation ladder, right? And there's a difference between an anti-tank weapon, a shoulder-fired missile, an aircraft, and a fighter jet that could cross a border and actually conduct operations on Russian soil. So how we assess things is what kind of assistance can we provide that will be the most impactful, if humanly most impactful in protecting, defending, providing assistance to the Ukrainian people as they are fighting courageously and boldly. We are also trying to prevent ourselves from taking steps that would be further escalatory. I don't think we have held back in any capacity in providing assistance, having the backs of the Ukrainians, but we are not going to do things that we think are not in the interest of the United States or our NATO allies, and that is where the bar is for us. Go ahead.
Thank you, Jen. We just heard you say again that you think in